Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya.
Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya.
Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya.
Rama 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 Ram, Rama 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 Ram, Rama 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 Ram, Rama Rama Ram,
Rama
Rama Rama Ram, Rama 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 Ram, Rama 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 Ram, Rama Rama Ram, Rama 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 Ram, Rama 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 Ram, Rama 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 Ram, Rama Rama Ram, Rama 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 Ram, Rama 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 Ram, Rama 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 Ram, Rama Rama Ram. भगवान श्री योगी रामसूरतकुमार की जय। सर्वं योगी रामसूरतकुमारार्पणमस्तु। We have all been extremely fortunate to be able to be here in the shrine of Bhagwan, whether in the ashram or at home. We are always in the sanctum sanctorum of Bhagwan. And we were able to sing Bhagwan's powerful Nama for 1 hour. That again is not possible but for his grace. Our grateful pranams to him. Yesterday we saw how Saint Francis was going on challenging, asking his brother Leo if he knew what the perfect joy was. The perfect joy is the perfect state of bliss. Why? There we do not know any differences at all. We see only the presence of God in everything and everyone. And God is Ananda, bliss. And so, no matter how the situation is, how people abuse us, in everything, in everyone, in both praise and abuse, we see only the presence of God and His secret gaze, His secret smile, His secret blessing to us. So finally, Saint Francis concluded, when the porter of the church beat them up with a twisted iron rod, wounding them and throwing them onto the street in extreme cold, he said to Brother Leo, if you can see Father, if you can see God in this porter, in this angry porter, put up with the injustice, the seeming injustice, the contempt of this man, and still feel happy. Know that that is perfect joy. That's his language. Bhagwan used to say, no matter what happens, it's only Father's grace. Whatever comes from God can only be grace. We shall not only accept it, but be grateful to God for it. This is how Bhagwan lived from moment to moment to moment in his physical body. This is what I closely observed in him. And also, Bhagwan said, whether it is Jai Krishnamurti or Ramakrishna Paramahamsa or Bhagwan Ramana, it is my Father expressing himself through them in different ways to suit different cross sections of the people. The only purpose behind it is to uplift them. Today, we shall see a story of Bhagwan's glory, how a Ramana Bhakta, Dr. Chidambaram of Ramanashram, changed into greater wisdom by our Bhagwan Yogi Ramsuratkumar. Dr. Sri Chidambaram was working for a long time in central government health service, and then he switched over to voluntary health service. From 1979 he was drawn to Ramana Bhagwan, and he made his regular trips to Tiruvannamalai. He would stay in Ramanashram, go round the mountain, visit Arunachaleshwara temple, and sit in meditation in the meditation hall of Ramanashram or up there in one of the caves. This was his routine, and he used to bring some people with him. In 1985, a group of friends with Dr. Chidambaram made their routine visit to Tiruvannamalai. As usual, they stayed in Ramanashram. They went round the mountain. On their way back, Dr. Ravi, one of the doctors in the group, said, here is a Mahatma, a great Mahatma, living Mahatma here. We would go have darshan. But then Dr. Chidambaram was reluctant. He did not know much about Yogi Ramsuratkumar. He thought he was one of those sadhus who could be seen here and there in Tiruvannamalai, and there are plenty of them. He didn't take him seriously at all, and for him, Ramana and Arunachaleshwara would do. He was very, very reluctant. He even said, look, we have just been around the mountain and I am very tired. Why should you stop here and there? Let's go back. But Dr. Ravi was insistent because he was an ardent devotee of Yogi Ramsuratkumar Bhagwan. He said, no, we must have darshan of this great soul. He even instructed Dr. Chidambaram to get some lemons. He himself went to buy a garland. After they gathered before the house of Yogi Ramsuratkumar, even then, reluctance was writ large on the face of Dr. Chidambaram. But Dr. Ravi was another story. So they knocked at the door, and soon not Bhagwan but his attendant came out, and then he told these people, Swami said, you people can go back to Ramanashram and offer all that you have brought to Ramana Bhagwan. After saying this, he went back, he disappeared into the inside of the house. Now Dr. Ravi was very disappointed. Of course, it did not matter to Dr. Chidambaram at all. He was happy that he could go back soon. So they returned to Ramanashram after completing the circuit. And then Dr. Ravi, having got instructions from Bhagwan through the attendant, was very busy. He told Dr. Chidambaram, you please see to it that this garland is put on Raman Bhagwan at Samadhi and these fruits are offered to him. But again Dr. Chidambaram did not pay heed to it. He went straight to meditation hall and sat there. Now Dr. Ravi was very particular that Bhagwan's instructions be carried out. To his surprise, great surprise and delight, when he entered the Samadhi hall, usually by then it was morning time. By the time the morning service at the Samadhi would be over and the Pujari was not to be seen. But that particular day what happened was the puja was not complete and the Pujari looked as though he was waiting for the offerings. Immediately he ran, gave the garland and the fruits, and after the Naivedyam was over, they conducted the Arati, and that's when Dr. Ravi saw the mala that he bought for Yogi Ramsuratkumar Bhagwan was on Ramana Bhagwan at the Samadhi. It was on the Linga, Ramana Linga. He felt very, very happy, overwhelmed, and then with great excitement he ran to the meditation hall to describe the whole episode to Dr. Chidambaram. What episode is there? After all, the mala was found on Ramana Bhagwan, the Pujari had put it there, but then to Dr. Ravi it meant much more than that. It was Bhagwan telling all those people. You see, today the Pujari was made to wait for what reasons only known to Bhagwan. He took the mala and the fruits, and Ramana Bhagwan was wearing it. It was a clear and loud message from Bhagwan, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, that he and Ramana Bhagwan are not different from each other. They are one divinity. So as Dr. Ravi, with great excitement, explained, described all that happened, which was unusual, suddenly Dr. Chidambaram found himself feeling some change inside him. Something melted inside, something moved. And then suddenly in a flash he felt the truth of the message that Yogi Ramsuratkumar and Raman Maharishi, they are not two different saints. They are one and the same, the one divinity. And suddenly it was all very clear to him, and his reluctance left him. He became more prepared for future darshans of Yogi Ramsuratkumar Bhagwan. Now only 3 months after they visited again, now this time when they came and knocked at the door, Bhagwan himself came down, opened the gate, and was smiling. He gave a welcome smile to those people and took them inside, seated them there, and began to discuss the topics. They generally, when they went around the mountain, they might be discussing some topics. It happened that Bhagwan was discussing the very same topics when they were all seated, and to his great surprise, Dr. Chidambaram found that Bhagwan knew so much about every topic, much more than they themselves knew. Bhagwan was very happy with them. At the time, Dr. Ravi asked for a photo of Bhagwan. Bhagwan said, "We shall see later." Dr. Chidambaram also felt like a photo, but then he suddenly remembered that in one of the Balajyotiram magazines, he had seen a picture of Yogi Ramsuratkumar Bhagwan. So thinking that he had one already in his possession, he didn't ask for it. After the trip was over, when he went back home, he began to search for that photograph. There was a bundle of old Balajyotiram magazines, and he tried to find out, but then he could not do it. So he just kept them there and left it at that. He even forgot about it for quite some time, a few months. And then one day, when he was looking for something else, he approached the same place and he pulled out at random some magazine, and there the magazine had a picture of Lord Ganesha on the cover. He didn't know why, but he started to look at Lord Ganesha, and suddenly he found Lord Vinayaka, Lord Ganesha, changing into Yogi Ramsuratkumar. His turban was visible, and then his face came into his sight, and suddenly he found himself staring at Yogi Ramsuratkumar's drawing. It was a line drawing. Nevertheless, he could see it very, very clearly. It was not as though he had a vision or a dream. He was very much conscious, and he saw the whole thing happening in reality. He was stunned, overwhelmed, and then he took that magazine and suddenly he found another magazine sticking to that. And that was the Balajyotiram, in which Bhagwan's photograph, Yogi Ramsuratkumar Bhagwan's photograph, was found. You can imagine, his joy knew no bounds. He felt once again completely overwhelmed, and he knew it was Yogi Ramsuratkumar's Leela. Probably only then he had the right preparation of mind, the maturation. Everything takes time to go into the depths. Thus, slowly, slowly, Dr. Chidambaram began to accept Yogi Ramsuratkumar as none other than Bhagwan Ramana. It did not make any difference to him after his own findings. Not only that, when Bhagwan gave him the mantra Yogi Ramsuratkumar chanting, he began to find a strange peace and joy. He felt a certain intimacy with Bhagwan, certain close kinship with Bhagwan. Dr. Chidambaram used to come now and then here over the years. I had met him also, talked to him, and one of those times he himself told me that he had experiences with Bhagwan. So you see, he began to think, that changed the whole view of his idea of Mahatmas. Until then, he thought everyone was different and there was no need to pay attention to anyone else. But then, the way he was treated by Yogi Ramsuratkumar Bhagwan, he began to understand the underlying unity behind all those varied great souls. In fact, one of the subsequent visits, Bhagwan asked him to read Jai Krishnamurti. After he started to read, now that he had the right preparation of mind, he began to see the unifying truth that they were all one, established, the same highest truth. So, after that, he began to accept every Mahatma. He was no more indifferent to anyone. He understood the underlying, the unity behind the diverse appearance and experiences, leelas and teachings. Why? They were all established in the one highest truth, the supreme truth, the truth of the Parabrahman. Just see, this transformation is the highest miracle. This is what the great masters always aim at, through small miracles. The miracles are nothing, they do not do it consciously also. There is such a force field of Shakti in their presence. Whoever goes and prays there, whoever goes and sits there with all his problems, there is an automatic response, like you go and stand before a mirror. The mirror very naturally reflects you. It reflects anything or anyone in front of it. Like that, these great masters, their response is automatic. They are not even conscious sometimes. They do it both ways, consciously and unconsciously also. Once I remember Bhagwan making a joke. He was laughing. It was not joke either. He said there are 3 types of saints. The first variety, they do all kinds of miracles, attract people in order to strengthen their faith. The second type of saints, they laugh at these miracles. They do not care for them. They don't do it at all. They don't do any miracles at all. And the third type, they are the highest, he said. They do the miracles, they also laugh at them. They are beyond the miracles, and if miracles should happen, they would happen automatically. Nor do they laugh at them. They simply watch them as the divine will, a divine automatic response. And then he laughed. Now I remember another particular incident when I read about Dr. Chidambaram. Professor Karunakaran has written very beautifully about the first meetings of some devotees, and he has described Dr. Chidambaram's meeting with Bhagwan. I remember the first time I had come to Tiruvannamalai, I was so much interested in Ramana literature. I had read a lot of them, and I was very much drawn to Ramana. And I came only to Ramanashram. It was about 7:30 in the evening, and when I got down from the bus, right outside Ramanashram, to my dismay and disappointment, I found the whole space, whole place, plunged in deep darkness. There was not a single dim light anywhere. You could imagine my plight. Something burst inside. I ran desperately into Ramanashram, straight to the meditation hall, and there Ramana Bhagwan's photo was kept, and I just looked at, there was a small mud lamp burning. I looked at his photograph and burst out crying. I said, Ramana, you are the sun of knowledge, but even in your place, there is only darkness for me. Will there be no light at all? And I burst out again. And that's when, amidst all the darkness, I saw suddenly the two eyes of Ramana glowing with such compassion, tenderness, and love, grace. Light was pouring out of his eyes. The same penetrating gaze that I had read about so many times in the books. I was stunned out of all thinking. I simply gazed back, and suddenly the lights came on, and there was once again the photograph. Within a few seconds I had witnessed Ramana Bhagwan's gaze, that famous uplifting gaze, and I felt reassured, because I was in desperation. When I ran inside, I nearly collapsed before him, and suddenly this glowing eyes glowing with compassion, grace, and tenderness. I knew I had my assurance straight from Ramana Bhagwan. My heart was filled with a joy unknown hitherto. And the next 3 days, of course, I went in search of Bhagwan, because Yogi Ramsuratkumar Bhagwan, because I had been told about him also. So I wanted to have his darshan. But then, of course, the story is there with all its details, and I might have said it all before, so there is no need to go into it. The point is, on the third day when he let me in, when I was seated before him, when he looked at me, I saw the same two eyes of Ramana Bhagwan. The same two glowing eyes, full of grace and compassion. That's when I knew also there is no difference at all. It is the one ultimate truth, the supreme, that is working through different forms, on different missions, for the sake of different cross sections of people. There will be different leelas, different lifestyle, even teachings might be different, but it is the one truth shining through all of them with one aim of uplifting the humanity. Now this Bhagwan is here in front of us. I remember once in the breakfast hut, suddenly Bhagwan started to talk about the sacrifice, how the great Mahatmas are sacrificing themselves in order to keep the world going. They are like the candles with both ends burning. This is what he said. He also added the quote from the Bible, "We are the salt of the earth." And when he said that it is this great Mahatma's sacrifice that keeps the world going, he had tears streaming down his cheeks and his voice broke. The life itself is a great sacrifice. Just as we offer things in the Homa, the sacrificial fire, in order to propitiate the Devatas, the great angels who supply the air, the water, the fire, the land, all that is necessary for our life, for our living. When we offer the whole, if you look at it, the whole nature, you see there is so much give and take. The trees, they take the strength of the earth, water, and the light from the sun, and they give it back in terms of flowers, fruits. You observe everything in nature. They take and then give back something of it. This is the fundamental rule of nature. Take and then give. So how do we do that? The humans. You know, the air is available, oxygen is available free. God doesn't charge anything for us for this. Water is free. The fire is free. We put them to use. But how do we give it? By doing seva to God, by doing seva to people, by helping the society in whichever way we can. We take so much from God. Our very breath is from God. And if it is kept, if it is sustained well, how grateful we should be to God. So let us remember God, because that is the purpose of life. Remembering the name is remembering God, and remembering God is living in God. And this is the purpose of life, the very purpose of life. So this is giving back after we take so much from God, from nature. So let us chant Bhagwan's Nama. Bhagwan had said, every Nama, not a single Nama goes waste. Every Nama not only helps the individual and the people around, it helps the whole world and his Father's work. This is the seva that we have to do, the prime seva. And then whatever we do, whatever action we do, let us do it for the sake of our Gurudev, for the sake of our Guru Bhagwan, Yogi Ramsuratkumar. And this way, this giving will be complete. We take so much from him, we take so much from nature. Let us give by taking His name and offering all our actions at His feet. And now we shall appeal to His compassion, boundless compassion. Bhagwan, we beg you again and again and again. How many times we cannot say, for your immediate divine intervention to free the entire humanity from the dreadful grip of this monster and bring back normalcy in every aspect of life. And Bhagwan, kindly root out the panic from the hearts of people, arrest the rapid spread of the disease, enter those medicines so that the virus clan will be completely killed once for all. And Bhagwan, there are still many people stranded and suffering for lack of facilities and treatment. Please reach out to them. Give them the needful so that they get well soon and return home safely. And Bhagwan, those brave soldiers who are fighting the disease for the sake of the others, please give them protection and all-round welfare. We also beg you for a boost to economy, and above all, we know we take so much from you. Our very living is sustained by what you give. And let us be a very good and fitting instruments in your hands so that we give back our entire life. We give back every action of ours by surrendering them to Him. We beg you for constant remembrance of your name. You have said, it is the seva that we do to you. And finally, we beg you for that supreme blessing for our purification, so that we could also see only your presence and blessings in every event of life. Jai Yogi Ramsuratkumar.
Yogi Ramsuratkumar.